Hi, and thanks for being with us. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm joined by Danny Mauti from the Metro Group of Companies. And I'll encourage you to take a look at the other videos in this series. We've had some amazing discussions on a wide range of topics. Yeah, we talk about the company, but we talk about life and how we can all achieve more, live better lives, and be happier at work and at home. Danny, thanks for the time.
Good to be back, Mike.
I really appreciate this. Last time we got together, we talked a little bit about the beginning of the company and the foundation blocks on which it's been built. This time, let's expand on that a little bit, if you don't mind, and get into the core value set that you've created, that the foundation of the company is now really built upon.
Sure.
What is a core value set in your mind?
Yeah, so a core value is a value that stems from the origins of the company, like where you started from and the founders of the organization. And when I say founders, I don't mean just the people that opened it, but the first people that entered into the organization. You create this gel amongst us. And that gel amongst us is the outbound feeling that we give to all new people that come on board, whether it be a customer or an employee, or doesn't really make a difference who it is, but we establish those rules of engagement, we'll call it.
It's almost the vibe in which you do business.
Correct. Absolutely. 100%. And our first true core value, way before we truly understood what core values meant to the organization, was all about honesty. When I came out of high school and got involved with the organization, there wasn't really internet. And when the internet came on board, I was told to put a tagline below my email signature. So I did. And I came up with it in 15 seconds simply because it was a core of who we were. You didn't have to think about it very hard.
Interesting.
And that was all about honesty. And that tagline now follows every single solitary email with inside of our organization. Doesn't make a difference which company you work for. That tagline is at the bottom of each one of our signatures.
What's that tagline?
It talks about honesty. It tells you to be honest with all that you do in life. There really is no other way. It helps you sleep easy and live happily. So,
yeah, you might incur problems along the way, but honesty is certainly a core value that makes dealing with issues a lot easier.
Oh yeah, I mean, honesty is so simple when you think about it. But so many people are so afraid of it so many times, and they're afraid of the consequences. So it's not that they're dishonest people; they're just worried about the consequences. We always tell our group that if you cannot commit to something for a customer, if you miss a deadline, just be open and honest with the customer. There is no other way. When you hide behind it, which is fairly common in today's workplace, where you don't get an email back, you don't get a call back, you don't get a call that we're not showing up. We've all had those Rogers and Bell's frustrations where they're supposed to be there between 10 and 12 and they show up at 3, you don't get a call and you're all upset about it. Although Rogers and Bell have gotten tremendously better at that. Don't be afraid to tell the truth.
It's amazing that you say that, because when you tell the truth, there's a layer of stress that's immediately alleviated. The news could be bad. Correct. The news could be amazing. It could be that you're trying to keep an amazing secret from somebody, but at the same time, being honest just makes dealing with the scenario at the moment easier for everybody. It removes frustration. It removes, any sort of doubt in your mind.
Yeah, it gives pure choice to the evolution of what's going on.
But Danny, if I'm truthful with you, I've got to give you some bad news on occasion. That's not good to do with the boss.
It's good to do no matter what.
Yeah.
I would rather somebody come into me and say, I had a deadline for tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to make that deadline. I had some issues at home. So can we reestablish a deadline? As opposed to me approaching somebody after the deadline and asking them, hey, where are we with this project? Right. And then getting an excuse or a reason that something happened at home. It happens. Like, things happen. You're
better to know at that moment.
Absolutely, 100%. Sooner rather than later, be truthful, straightforward, and bring it forward.
It sounds like a lofty thing. We're going to be honest in business. But when you've created the entire approach to the business, honest with each other, not just the clients, honest with the approach and the vision, that seems to kind of give a really beautiful, clear horizon for what can happen next. So how do these core values, this one in particular, honesty, how does that give you a vision of the future? What does that look like for you guys?
It makes the vision of what's to come not clearer, but more comfortable. Because if you know that the surrounding people around you are living by that core, being truthful and honest and straightforward with one another, you know that you can get through anything. And we really emphasize that with our organization in training and working with our staff and making sure that they understand what that all means to us. We use a learning program at our organization. It's really Patrick Lencioni. If you've ever heard of Patrick Lencioni, it's one of his learning programs, and it's about the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And it's not about the dysfunctions; it's about how do you not be dysfunctional. But the most important key to all of that dysfunction or that working together is trust. If you come into any situation and you do not trust the situation 100% when you're sitting across the table from somebody, it's not going to work. You're going to be tripped up, and you're just going to take longer to get where you're going.
And by the time you get back to where you need to be with a client or anybody you're communicating in that regard, it's completely a different context.
Correct.
You're better to just launch in that direction.
Absolutely, 100%. I had a conversation with a client a week and a half ago. He called up and said that we weren't delivering on expectations. And I said, listen, let me look into it, because I don't know about the job, but let me look into it. So I looked into it and, got all the details and called him up and told him point blank, like, I do not have any good news for you. I have the truthful news. And what you choose to do with that is entirely up to you. And we got to a place where we were both satisfied with the next steps, as opposed to hiding behind, not lies, because they're not lies, but hiding behind your insecurities as far as telling the truth.
Our egos will get in the way every time and make an excuse.
Sure, absolutely.
Nobody likes an excuse. And
No.
so managing that in your approach is definitely a core value that has to be worked on.
Absolutely. And that goes for work. It goes for everything. The littlest of white lies become very slippery slopes, because you start with a little thing that you think is not a big deal, and all of a sudden you're chasing that lie, and it just gets bigger and sillier and bigger, and it gets to the point where it's stressful being part of the conversation.
By the end of the conversation, you're talking about being chased by the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men and Ghostbusters.
Correct.
And
Don't know where you're going with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Core values, an important part of the build and the day-to-day operation at Metro Group of Companies. I really appreciate the time. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me.